Welcome to the adventures of self. Conversations with ordinary and extraordinary people as they explore what it means to be self-expressed. Come on in. Join the adventure.
So, welcome Amanda Hill Ryle to the Adventures of Self.
Hi, Taylor. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so looking forward to our co-creation and today's conversation.
Exactly. It is a co-creation and it is absolutely a conversation and also an inspiration. You were saying before we got started that's what you wanted this to be about. And in particular, what I loved is you sort of brought this idea of spirit to inspiration, saying that it's about the spirit of the moment.
Absolutely.
It's a beautiful concept there.
We can all inspire, but what I've learned over my years is that you have to connect with yourself first. Find out, listen to what your spirit, your soul, your essence is telling you, and step into that. And in that energy, you just inspire without even having to try.
Yeah, and like I've said before on the show, I kind of geek out on words, and I think you're a teacher, so we can geek out on words together here. And that inspire, right? It's to breathe life. It's to give breath.
Yes.
To so and you can literally see it or imagine it, because for us to be alive, for us to be here today, for us to be here talking to one another, we have to be breathing, right? We have to be alive, and so. You can literally imagine as you take a breath in, you're bringing spirit, you're bringing life into your body. So you're inspiring yourself.
Absolutely. Yes.
And that's where it starts.
And the breath for me is the coming home. Life can get difficult. And in situations where I'm feeling overwhelmed, all I'll do is stop for a moment, breathe deeply. I teach it to the children I teach. Because we are born with our breath, we die with our breath. It's part of us, and we don't use it and come home to ourselves enough, I believe.
Yeah, I like that sense of coming home to ourselves. There is this idea that many of us get caught up with, that we're supposed to get somewhere, right? This idea of success, of accomplishment. We're someplace today and we're supposed to be somewhere else. We're supposed to go someplace. And we were talking before we got started about the sort of hero's myth and the journey that we all go on. And there is this kind of metaphoric concept that our adventure, our journey, we're going someplace, but actually usually what you find is you end up where you started.
Because you're still with you. What I take from that is that, you go to school and society has you put in a box. There are expectations. You start here, you're meant to get to this result. But what they're not taking into the experience is the journey itself. It is the process. And that's what I have done now, coming home to, I've let go of society's expectations and demands. And I thought, I am me. Who am I? How can I be connected with myself and value myself? Because I had no value for myself before. All my value came from the approval of others and validation. And that's what society is like. It's like, it comes from the outside, but it doesn't. Everything we have and we actually need is within ourselves. But we're a bit nervous to go in there because nobody's taught us how to. And that's why I'm stepping up into the world and realizing, from children to parents, everybody, adults who want to heal themselves, you've got it all within yourself. You've just got to take the courage and be vulnerable and go within and find out what your body's saying, what your mind's saying, and connect, as you said at the beginning, with the spirit, your essence.
And I think this is like, it's such a fundamental, but very simple, subtle change, but truly fundamental in terms of the perception of where we're coming from, where our focus is, as you say, and I certainly recognize this idea of I was probably more accomplished based of, you know, the accomplishments I have and create in the world determine my level of approval or success. Yeah. And so, you know, do people recognize that I've done whatever? You know, it's fine to do things. It's fine to, you know, I'm sure it's fine to get approval and to do things for other people, right? But when we're doing it because that gives us our sense of worth or value,
it's not true worth.
Yeah, and it's kind of like that, you know, hole in the bucket, right? Sort of song.
Totally, you can keep filling it, but you will never be happy. I mean, what with the pandemic, and I know lots of people have lost their jobs, and it's how you look at it. Is it the woe of lost my job? And recently I've been made redundant, but I've just looked at it, wow, okay, that's interesting. It's a redirection. And look at it like that. Oh, the universe has got other plans for me. And you need to know what your purpose is. Now, from the age of 15, I decided to be a teacher. And the reason I want to teach with young children is because of their creativity, their curiosity, their innocence. They're, you know, out to play. They're full out. They don't mind what anybody thinks. They accept everything just as it is in the present moment. Yet as we get older, we lose that. And I want to come back to, and that's what I've come back to myself in essence, to find out, yes, I still want to play, but I want to show others how they can accept their emotions, their thoughts, because neither of them belong to us. They just come and go. And in that doing, what is possible? What is your message that you came here to deliver, in essence?
Yeah, I mean, and you know, I think in the work you're doing as a teacher, and we'll get to the books that you've created and the sort of, I guess, even universe you've started to create. It's about that that change of focus, and you know, giving that to, or sharing that with children so that they have that foundation. Because I think, you know, whatever, you know, no disrespect or pointing fingers, but we've grown up in a society, in a world where, as we were saying at the beginning, we assume that the answer is somewhere out there, and we've got to go get it, create it, give something to somebody else, and we don't look to ourselves for our own heart, right? To see that it all starts with us, it all ends with us. Yeah. And that's not I don't think that's a selfish or arrogant statement. I think
but it's how you're brought up, because I was brought up in an Irish Catholic family, and to be selfish was a no. It was to give service to others, and I love that. But what I've come to realize through my life is, to give full service to others, you have to have self-love and trust and have faith in you and who you are, not who people telling you, you know, or if you go down this journey and get to that result and that success, then you're complete. Because you're complete. You've never not been complete. But society and people will tell you, no, you need to get, you know, whether it be the job, the exam, get married, buy a house, get the, you know, accolades, the awards. But I know people that got all that and they're still saying, well, I'm still not happy.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I think that when we were talking before the show got started, about this sense that if you assume you have it within you, then there's an opportunity for, I think, the exploration and the journey comes in about how to share that, what the unique lens through which you want to express what is true for you, what is important for you. And you know, we were talking, like, you know, you and I both somehow sort of stumbled upon and chose to create podcasts, right? And we're
literally stumbled.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, stumbled, fell, smacked our head up against the wall a few times because, you know, we didn't grow up in this world. Now, I mean, I worked in my university days on the radio, so I had a sense of what it meant to work with a microphone, a little bit of recording, but the rest of it, I had no idea what I was doing. And I didn't necessarily, even in the beginning, think oh, I always wanted to be a podcaster, right? You were saying,
it's top of my list.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. What you were saying before January, you're like, what's a podcaster?
Yeah, I didn't even know what it was, but I just knew I wanted to do it. Crazy lady.
Exactly. And I think there is this sense of, well, we start to explore what that is. And, maybe you start down a particular road, and because it leads you to something else, maybe it is exactly the thing that you were meant to be. And that's where kind of the journey, the adventure, the sort of, kind of putting out your elbows a bit to see, well, what actually fits here? I'm gonna try this, not necessarily because I know from the beginning that it's absolutely exactly what I'm supposed to be doing, but it's a thing that I am called to do now, and it's leading me to, I think it's what you were saying before. It's like leading me back to my heart, right? It's leading me to the truth of my self-expression.
Well, 2 years ago, I had enough of society, and I was totally unhappy. I have had depression in the past. I mean, really, really low, and just being on the treadmill of life going, is this it? And I realized that it was me that was the core of everything. I was the problem, not my husband, not my friends, not the job. It was me. And I didn't have the guts to look at myself, but I got to the stage that I'd had enough of my own BS. And I looked in the mirror and I said, right, Manda, you've got to go within. So I joined a group, a tribe of ladies, and I spent time learning to meditate. Now, the first time I tried to meditate, because if you see my old life, radio on, TV on, action, 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 doing. And I was in the doing, and I can see now, because I was at all costs avoiding myself, distracting from my feelings, from who I was. And through the process of coming home to myself, I wrote my first book, I Choose Me. And I did that to get over myself, to get over my victimhood, my woe is me. And it includes activities I did to become centered, to come home. And from that, because obviously I'm a teacher, a primary teacher, the children with their magic are the future. And as a teacher, I want to inspire them and accept them for exactly who they are. And that led me in to create the Move Punchers. And I did that. And then I thought, well, it's not about the children, because it's the parents who are leading the children, inspiring them. But if the parents haven't healed themselves, rather like I was as a mother, so it starts with the parents. And that's why I started the podcast, You Choose You Now. And what I have grown to know, and I realized my soul has been screaming out for true connection. And like with you, Taylor, I've met people around the world now, and my soul is singing, and it's putting me onto another path, because I had the story running with me growing up that I didn't fit in, I wasn't good enough. And who do I think I am, to step up? But that was all fear-based. And that wasn't me. That was like, if you like, the ego. And I call my ego Pratsy. And I say, look, you're off on one. I'm not listening today. And I have to go silent. I have to meditate. I journal as well. And in that space, I find what is important to me. And the simple truth is that I want us all to heal our inner wounded child, because growing up, things might not have gone the way. We've all experienced trauma of some time. And I realized I have repressed a lot of emotions that I didn't like, because I didn't finish that trauma cycle. And I want to get rid of that now, because my soul is saying, come on, Amanda, you have a message to put out there. We are all born just with everything we need. We just need to trust, have faith with it, and step up. It's the stepping up we're a bit nervous about doing. And I'm doing it. And do you know what? I don't need the approval. There's a third of the people that will love you anyway. A third of the people will not like you, whatever you do. And the other third don't really care either way. But loving yourself does matter. And I didn't love myself before, and I totally adore myself now.
Yeah, it's a beautiful, sort of arc, because that what I find that happens, like what I hear in your story is not that you went on your story to love and approve of yourself. you went on your story because there was something inside of you that said,
yes,
I'm calling for something, and I'm going to go do something. I'm going to write a book. I'm going to start, or you just start meditation and have that moment where, you were depressed, you were upset, something was challenging you, and you go down a particular road, and you go, you go sometime, you create, you write your own book, you write books essentially for children, but they're for all of us, because we're all
we're all children inside.
Exactly. And we all have been children, and we all have that inner child inside. And then sometime down later you say, I didn't even think about this, but I've actually solved all the problems that I had 2 years ago that were causing me all sorts of
the pain and the suffering. Yes.
Yeah.
And that's all gone. And I can't believe it's gone, because I held on to it for 40 years. And in the letting go, that's where the freedom, the spirit has been able to come. But I just take time. I get up before my family and for 2 hours beforehand to have my time for me. And I have it in the evening. And that's not explained to us. That silent time by ourselves is the most beautiful gift you can give yourself.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think, because you've spoken, about starting to explain this for children and for the parents of children, because you've been in teaching, I don't know, for
30 years,
30
quite
years.
A long time.
Yeah. No, but like it goes to a sense of an understanding about, it's a unique position, because there is this, I think sometimes people get stuck in a particular career or something, and they think 30 years, and it kind of wears them down. And you're coming at something that haven't been something for 30 years, and actually continuing to be inspired by it. Right?
Oh yes. I mean, I've worked abroad in the Philippines. I've worked in state schools, private schools. I have changed, because in every place you go is new and to start again. And even if you're in the same year group, and parents listening to this, you can get frustrated with your child, but each day is a new start. And that's my mindset now. There's no fixed mindset. It has to be. It's just like, what is possible today? I'm turning in with my energy of joy. And I even say to the kids, who are you today? Who are you showing up to be? Oh, I can see in your face. I can see the way you're wearing your clothes. But it's that connection before all academics, whatever, because you have to have that connection and see the being in front of you. And as parents, I mean, I became a parent. I got postnatal depression. I wanted to be a parent of 6. I only have the one child. He's a teenager now. And yes, he is challenging me. But I realize he's on his journey, and he's actually been sent here to test me on my journey and to grow even more. There is no right or wrong, good or bad. There is just what is in this moment. And children are born, as I said before, curious, innocent, creative. And I want to tap into that energy and keep it going. Because if we can be with our emotions without fear or attachment, the world, the universe is full of possibilities, and they just want us to take it. But it's a bit like having a little teddy bear, and somebody's got a bigger teddy bear behind their back, and they're saying, give me your little teddy bear. But you go, no, I love my teddy bear. He's part of me, but I've got something better. But we're so scared of letting go of what we know for what could be, even though it could be better.
Yeah. That, my assumption is that, I see this in teachers. My sister's primary school teacher, my aunt taught in schools for years and then went into administration. I've talked to her about the experience. Yes, you're the teacher, but you're learning all the time.
Oh, yes. And I don't know. I say to the children, I say, do you think I know everything? And they go, yeah. I went, no. I said, just because I'm an adult, I also say this, I have feelings. I'm an adult. It's just not you who have feelings. I'm the same as you. I'm just a bit taller. I've been here for longer. But we are all connected. And how we connect with one another runs the show. I mean, you can have a lesson planned, but if the children are in the right frame of mind, that lesson will never happen. You've got to deal with how they're feeling, their situation, and realize, I mean, I have a structure because structure is important for your mind. Otherwise, your mind will just take you away. But within that structure, there is time to have fun. And I think learning should be fun, and accepting that things don't happen the way you expect them. Mm-hmm. And that's fine. But don't get put off by that. Go, okay, look, this is happening now. Oh, let's go down and see what happens. And it's that idea of discovery. I love that word. School should be about discovery of self and discovery of learning.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, you were saying that this sense of curiosity, it's funny, like sometimes when the synchronicities that show up, because I posted something for the podcast earlier today, a post on social media, and the picture and quote I chose, and the way I suppose it was about that sort of discovery, being, continuing to be curious, like it's being open to whatever is. Like we have an idea, or we have an intention of something we'd like to create. Yes. And then there's a whole big world out there. And if we say fixed and say, this has to happen exactly as I planned, we're going to run up against things, and we're going to hit disappointment. We're going to, and we can easily go into some sort of victim mode. You see, you see, it always happens.
You're describing my former life.
Well, mine too. And it's fine to have plans. It's fine to have an idea about something that you want to create. And it's not even to say, because it goes to what I was saying earlier, right? You whatever you said like 2 years ago, you were depressed, and all you wanted to do was maybe be happy. And I don't even know that you would have thought that having approval of yourself was really, truly.
I had no idea that was vital. Value for self is key. Self-esteem, self-confidence. And I'm not talking about showing off. I'm talking about showing up. There's a big difference. And being calm, and I'm at peace with myself, and I can watch things happening around me and not let it affect me. The biggest breakthrough for me personally as an adult was the statement, "Thank you, but what you think of me is none of my business." Now, the first time I heard that, I ran screaming from, of course it's my business, how very dare you? And that hit me. Oh my God, look how attached I am to the approval of others. And that shocked me to my core. And I went, why? And it's because of my conditioning, because as you said, life presents itself. You want to create something, you have an idea, but we have got fixed outcomes, and we are so attached to that outcome and that expectation that if anything deviates off the path, and it usually does, obstacles happen, we give up. And then we go into the, self-sabotage. Well, it wasn't for me in the first place, and why did I bother, blah, blah, blah. But it's just like, it's guiding you. Try this. I mean, I as I said to you, I didn't even know what a podcast was in December. I'd heard about them, and I just thought, I said to my husband, I'm going to create a podcast. He said, why are you doing that? I said, because I just want to reach more people. I have something to say, and I want to learn from the wisdom of others. And it's been the best thing I've done. And I never set out with that intention.
And I think that's where, when you hit those stumbling roadblocks, the challenges, there's an opportunity to then be curious and open. That's where the discovery comes, because as those things come up and happen, there's an opportunity to say, I hadn't expected this.
Yeah.
And I could I could easily go down the road of, you see, this always happens. Yeah. I always get rejected. This always happens. Something, I run out of money, or somebody says no, and there you go. Right. And then you're just stuck with what you have always expected or experienced. And
it's your limiting beliefs.
Yeah.
And they start off from childhood, when something doesn't, turn out the way you wanted it, and you create a story. And that story suits the time, but we don't let go of that story, and we carry it into adulthood. It doesn't serve us. And you just got to listen to, how does your mind speak to you? Mine used to be very critical. I'm not critical anymore. If something doesn't go the way I expect, I go, oh, interesting. Okay, let's have another, as you said, an open mind. That's where growth is.
One of my mentors was talking about limiting beliefs and, said like a belief you have, a limiting fundamental belief, like I'm not good enough, or I'm unworthy of love, right?
Yeah.
That clearly, well, I say clearly, from my perspective, clearly was created at a very early age.
Yes.
Very early in childhood, probably almost certainly pre-cognition, pre-language, maybe even pre-birth, right? I mean, if you want to go back, but very, very early on. And the beliefs actually protected you.
Yes, at that time.
They protected you at that time. And you made up, as you say, you make up a story about yourself that, I mean, it sounds quite crazy. It's like, well, why would a belief of I'm not good enough protect me? Well, maybe because a particular parent doesn't have time and you have to interpret what's going on. And it's a very, there's no way to sit down with a 6-month-old and say, okay, well, mommy or daddy has to go to work and we've got to do this and we've got to take time to prepare the food for dinner. A 6-month-old doesn't have a clue what that means. It just wants love and attention, right? As it should. And for whatever reason, right, a belief gets created. And then it's like we create a belief at age 1 or 2 and then spend the rest of our lives living
into it. And making it true. That's what I realized. That's why I call it the ego. It's a very tricky customer because it'll make you look at people and situations and you take it personally. So see, and I used to like to be right. That's why I can see this. See, I was right. I knew that was going to happen. See, I'm no good. See, nobody loves me. But do you see how the mind talks? But you see what we are so, it happens so unconsciously now as adults because we've trained our way, we've trained our brain to think that way. Our brains are actually more wired to have negative thoughts. And that was coming from the caveman era where we had to survive. But guess what? We don't have to run away from beasts anymore. And we've got that energy and we need to now go, okay, that happened to me then. It's in the past. And I made that story true. But does that serve me now? Now, what I've realized, I was addicted to guilt and shame, and they were my go-to places. You eat the chocolate cake, you feel guilty, but it's that, the day after, oh, why did I do that? See, and then you start berating yourself again. And it's automatic. If you catch yourself, spend a day catching yourself and write it down. It's what I did. And you go, oh my goodness. And it's literally what I look into now is gratitude that I'm alive with my breath to stand up and who am I going to meet today and how you interact with people, whether it's the bus driver, the lady in the shop, you just smile, hi, how are you today? And actually look them in the eyes and make that connection because that makes the world of difference and it changes the way you think.
Yeah, there was a book that I was introduced to probably about a decade ago. It was talking more about the change in like sustainability, right? And it was like looking at the product lines because most products have a linear lifetime, right? So it's like you make something, you take stuff out of the ground, you process it, you make a toy or tool, and then you use it, and then it's done, and you throw it away, right? And it has this. And there's a what they call like a vicious cycle to that because you're going downwards with that. You're in this linear way of dealing with things. And one of the things that's happened in sort of the product and sustainability world is to create what they call virtuous cycles, right? So that you're creating a system that is self-sustaining. And there's a difference in that because when you were speaking about the, I just want to highlight the difference between that sort of guilt shame loop, which is totally a loop, as opposed to this gratitude loop, because there's a difference between vicious and virtuous. So what's interesting about because I recognize that sort of that shame. I have a lot of shame, or I've gone through a lot of.
We all do.
Lived in Shameville for quite a long time. Still have my passport. It's still valid.
Pop in there once or twice.
Yeah, exactly.
But you know whether to leave, and you acknowledge it, and you're aware of it. A lot of people are not even aware of it.
Yeah, and the thing is, because you were talking, it's like because what happens is, so imagine you have the piece of chocolate. Right. And then the next day you go through the shame. Oh, I'm so bad, I'm this, you know, and there's a perverse, it's a very perverse comfort, because that's what you were taught, right? Amanda, shame on you for eating this chocolate, right? And so that becomes something that you are aware of. And then over a period of time, right, after you kind of the shame wears off, you go through something where actually you're trying to get back to that shame, but you convince yourself that, well, I've been a good girl. I've been so good the last 2 weeks. I haven't had any chocolate. I deserve a little chocolate. Haven't I been such a good girl? And I'm just going to have one little piece of chocolate. And maybe you do only have one piece of chocolate, but usually when you open the chocolate bar, it goes pretty quickly. And then it's like, great, you see, I rewarded myself. And as soon as that happens, you've now triggered back into your vicious cycle. And within a minute, an hour, a day, oh, how shameful, how horrible of me. And you're in that loop. And you just, you know, it's the same when people say like, January 1st, I'm going to go to the gym every day. Okay, well, good luck with that. Because, you know, we get to a point, it's like, well, I've been to the gym every day for the last 2 weeks. I deserve to have a bag of potato chips, this pint of ice cream, or you know, whatever it is. And you know, and that is a vicious cycle that will continue to play out until you choose.
But we're addicted to those stories.
Absolutely.
And I didn't realize you could be addicted to emotions. That's come as quite an awareness. And I am addicted to those. But what I do is I catch it, because I can catch it. I know what it looks like. I know what it feels like in my body. And what I say now is, oh, look at you, Amanda, going down that shame route. Okay, I'm making a choice now. And that's all it is. I'm grateful. Because in this moment, you know, I've had the chocolate, or as you said, or you deserve it. I will say to myself, well, no, I am going to make a decision to eat that chocolate. I'm not going to feel bad about it, because it's a decision I'm making in this moment. And I'm acknowledging it. And then there's no attachment to it. It's not about the me and how my stories run. But to be grateful each day, you know, because, you know, I'm a woman, chocolate, weight, links in. So I can look at them and go, oh my God, look at the state of you. And I saw that this morning. I went, oh my God, look at the size of that belly. And then I went, Amanda, look at you. You're going on one. And I went, no, look at that belly. Whoa, I've got a body. It works. I can wear it. And that is a different conversation you're having with yourself. And in that energy, you raise your energy and you show up rather than going, no, this is it. This is my body, how it is, and I'm going to love it, and I'm going to use it.
And I think that's going to creating that virtuous cycle, right? You start with something, and it builds from there, right?
Yes.
And you know, we've kind of been talking around this, and I actually want to get to your the Mood Muncher series, because I think we've kind of been talking around all this, and I want to actually get even more specific, because it really goes to this sense. You know, we do have emotions that come up. But it's not, you know, there is I think a lot of people feel that, you know, anger comes on, or happiness comes, like, there is this sense of like, oh, we've got to get to Happyville, right? We have to live in Happyville.
Exactly.
Right?
That's what people think. And that's what they want. But that's what society is, you know, telling us at the beginning. Success, be happy, be happy. It's the search of this happiness. And yet happiness is within us, but we're just not aware of it.
Well, exactly. Yeah, it's like it's a choosing, right? But there is, you know, it goes to this sense that, like, well, if we're sad, if we feel sad, if we feel angry, then we equate that with who we are.
Yeah, we've got a story running it, and people don't like that, or we don't like feeling like that. You know, if you've had angry parents, you might not like to be angry, and you control that within yourself. Sadness, you think, who wants to be around miserable people? And we've created so many stories about it. But I've worked with children. I say, well, how are you? And they had 3 words: happy, sad, or okay. And that's the language they had. And I want them to realize, and as adults, I mean, how often do you go out and sit down and say, oh, guess what? I was feeling shameful today, or I was feeling guilty, or you don't talk about it. It's like, put that under the cupboard. You know, we don't want to talk about that. It's not to be seen or heard. And I've created Mood Munchers as these colorful, amazing, funny characters Because emotions are just like that. Emotions are just guest mates, roommates that come in to us to do a job, because we are built to feel. We are human beings, and we need to be in that energy to feel it. But because we want to look good, because we don't want to upset ourselves or others, we stop it. We repress it. We say no, or we avoid or distract. And in doing that, we're actually creating more problems for ourselves. What I'm teaching kids is, Blaze, hi, say hello to Blaze. That's anger. He's just coming to visit. He's going to let you feel with your senses all of it. And if you accept him, see him, feel him, welcome him in, he'll disappear. And that's exactly what happened within 2 minutes with this boy. And yet society, our families, our minds have told us, I don't like that, so I'm not going there. And I have done a lot of body scans, and I used to enjoy body scans, and I've had a lot of grief and sorrow come up for me. And I was quite shocked that it was so deep within me. And I was crying, it didn't look good, but I let it go. And then the shame was hiding underneath that one. And I sat with the shame and I went, okay, but I'm not making it me. It is shame. Shame is called Rue with my mood munchers. She came to visit. I saw her, I accepted her. And it's how you process it in your body. Now, if you have something, and if it's a scale 1 to 10 and it's 7 above, you need to process it now. And that's where the breath comes in. You can close your eyes, see it, feel it. If it's not, you can park your mood munchers on the sofa and say, no, I'm busy now, I'll deal with you later. And choose a time that you want to process it. But we weren't taught this at school. You know, I was told off. You didn't behave like that. You didn't show that emotion. And that made me judge it, because we're so judgmental. Judd is another one. She's great. Judd has, I'd like to be right. You're wrong. And we all have judgment. You walk into somewhere new, you see somebody, you judge them within the first 5 seconds. And it's realizing, and it's realizing, I'm the same as you. We're all the same. We're all connected. We're all human beings. There's no, you're better than me. I am me. You are you. I do me. You do you. Let our emotions come up. Do not be attached to them. Do be not conditioned by them. Because how would we know happiness if we haven't felt sadness? You know? But I want children to be able to say, jitters came, and jitters is fear. And we had a conversation about, I'm scared about going to school tomorrow. I'm scared about that test. And I give them tools to use with the mood munchers. And it's made such a difference. Even to parents, they're saying, and I had a parent say to me, my parents got divorced, and I didn't realize the trauma of that I hadn't, thought I hadn't brought up, has been transferred onto my child. And unconsciously, we transfer all our negative thoughts onto our children. We don't want to do it, because we haven't healed them within ourselves. And that's why the mood munchers are a perfect tool.
Yeah. And one thing that we spoke about when we first spoke, that I want to bring in here, because it goes to how we relate to these moods, emotions. And I think it's a failing, but just a characteristic of the English language. Right.
Yes.
That is the grammar that we use, because in Latin-based languages and many other languages, you have emotions. So you have sadness. I have fear. So it's like having, I have a short sleeve shirt on today. Yes. I have a hat, but I can put it down.
Yeah, it's not part of you, but you can use it.
But we say, it's like, oh, how are you? I am sad. Well,
I am. You're not. I am feeling. This is what I'm teaching the language. I am feeling happy. I am feeling sad. But so when they say I'm sad, I said, no, you're not. They look at me and say, you're feeling it.
Yeah.
Do you see that's a feeling? And literally by seeing emotions as they're outside of us, and I'm gonna. Many viewers can't see this, but this is Blaze. So they literally get to hold him, feel him, talk to him, and it makes it real. And then you put him down.
like Gestalt, right? That's the subject too in Gestalt therapy. It's like you have something outside that you can have a conversation with, and recognize, that it's something that can come through you, that can accompany you, as you say, right there.
And it's important that they come through you, and you allow them to, with no fear or attachment, because that's what a human being is. Yeah, we want to express ourselves.
Yeah, and I think what comes up for me as you're speaking about this, I mean, one thing you said that I just want to clarify, because there are certain feelings that come up that we absolutely want to avoid, as you said, right? We just want to push them down. We don't want to deal with them. But I think there are others, as we were saying, like, with the shame, that actually, in a way, we want to indulge them, and we get caught in this loop of overindulging them, because we think that definition of, well, I have to, I'm a shameful person, I'm a shameful girl, so I have to keep playing this story over and over again. But what comes to me is, whether you have a sense of wanting to repress, push down a particular feeling, or whether you actually want to indulge a particular feeling or emotion that comes, what I see is an opportunity to move through it, so that whatever's coming up,
to process the emotion.
Exactly. It's an opportunity for learning, for growth. Why, it's like there's a reason that sadness or joy or anger,
it wants to come out, because what I've learned is that our body and mind have always wanted to heal. And when I heard that, I went, to be ridiculous. That's not true. But I wasn't allowing them to be processed. Now, you're quite right. So you can be addicted to these emotions, but are you allowing it, or are you indulging it? And if you're spending more than 5 minutes, talking about an emotion, you're indulging. Just be quite aware of that, and that's fine. But call yourself out. You're indulging.
And often we enroll other people into that indulgence. Yes. Oh, you won't believe what happened to me. Oh. I'm pretty good.
That's called gossiping. And yes, I used to be addicted to that too. I gave that one up because I lowered my energy.
Yeah, I wasn't so much gossiping about others, but I used it as a way to get to draw an attention and energy from others. So I would talk about all my woes. If everything was going great, I'm kind of get to 95%, and then everything falls apart. And it's a great story, and enroll.
You get your audience, you get your validation.
And as you say, it's really interesting as well, because I think that what you start to find is that there is your truth, your heart is actually only a couple of degrees off from the shadow
it's coming
side.
Out. Yeah.
And so, one of the reasons I, started a podcast, right, is, people said, oh, you're a good storyteller, you create good conversations. And obviously I can indulge in that, and it can become maudlin and a bit aggrandizing and bringing an energy. Whereas when I'm in my truth of it, it's like, okay, well, I'm here to have a conversation with you, to bring your story out, to create something, as we said, a co-creation, a collaboration of this space, to inspire each other and hopefully the audience out there listening. And so our truth is often, like we're not far from it in our.
It's covered up. Because I was addicted to drama. So, you said you had a story to tell. I had the better one. I had the T-shirt, the pie, everything. And I came into the energy with drama. You've seen nothing yet until you've listened to me. And through my self-discovery, I realized that drama was the craving. Fill me up. I need your energy from you. And yet I still got the same message, but I just have no drama attached to it. There's no thing. I don't need anything from anybody else. I just have a simple message, and I can do it calmly. Doesn't mean I don't always get, because, we're human beings. We have up days and downs. But what I can see, whereas I was up, down, like a roller coaster, I'm very much more, on one platform now. I don't crave, but I observe myself, I observe my emotions, and I'm very aware. And I call myself out. I say, oh, look at drama showing her face again. Oh, what under that drama are you missing. And it's really the need to be seen, the need to be heard, the lack of trust.
Yeah. And what I notice for me is, you know, the drama still comes in. You know, I think unconsciously I still create it, right? So things will be going along, you know, quite smoothly, swimmingly, and then something, you know, out of left field will come in, and rather than sort of get, for me, it's rather than get caught up in that story and making something of it. It's to say, it goes back to that sense of openness and curiosity. It's like, oh,
yeah.
Well, I had not expected that. The wheel.
But you see, your awareness there is great.
Yeah, it's like the wheel just came off the car. Right. Now we have 3 wheels, less than ideal. So what are we going to do?
What are the options? Because there's always an option and a solution.
Yeah, and as you say, you know, it brings you into openness, because you know, my assumption now is that, you know, as you say, like the universe wants me to express my creativity for you, and that's not to be you know, arrogant and selfish, because I think it wants that for everybody.
Yeah. Oh no, it does.
Yeah.
And the universe has got our backs, but we've just believed that it hasn't. We've got a story running. So when are you going to get tired of that story and give it up?
And you know, I see, you know, because we've kind of got this sense, you know, over the last few hundred years that somehow human beings are separate from nature and the universe, that we sort of sit outside of it. I mean, which is like quite mad.
They're ridiculous, because we are part of it. We are part of the universe.
How could that be possible? It's like, okay, there's a universe over there, and then here we are. Here. It's like, well, universe is, I mean, by its very definition, one whole thing. And so when you look at, you know, I spend a lot of time, you know, looking at nature, being in nature, and realizing, like, whether it's a plant, a flower, an insect, you know, a mammal, like a mountain, there's a creative urge in absolutely everything.
It's life.
But exactly, it's life. So how could we be any different? How could we separate from that creative expression that is always, always happening?
But that's, I believe, is the arrogance of the ego that we're attached to. And that's why, like for religion, I'm not going to go down it, but, you know, the religion in its truest form is just about love and connection and compassion. I don't care what else you call it, but mankind have taken it to be powerful and to use it and manipulate it. And we're so arrogant that we think we're better than nature, or we're not, as you say, we're set apart. We're not. We are we're energy, we're part of it all. And it's embracing and having that connection and knowing your connection. That's where the beauty and the peace and the calm has come from me, and letting go of anything else because it's not me.
Yeah, beautiful. And I just want to come back to the Mood Munchers, because what I think is also interesting is that it's not just sort of a one and done. You said that, you know, like what I think is interesting to bring up is what you're creating from it, and your continued exploration and discovery of that, right? You started with a sort of your adult book about yourself, and that led to the creation of 1, and then I think you said 4 books in the Mood Muncher series, and now you created a podcast from that, and it's continuing, right? So you want to do animations. It kind of just Well, I'm curious what's coming up for you in that, why you decide to do that, and you know, what also kind of scares you, freaks you out a bit, because it's not like you just do
that's
something,
a great question,
and then it's like, oh, okay, well, then we'll
done, tick off, which is how I used to view life. But what I actually found out this weekend, I'm an organized person, okay? I've got a very tight classroom. I know when things are going to happen. My mind needs that. My brain needs that. But what I've discovered through this, I mean, first of all, the fact I put my first book out there, I would never have thought I'd put a book, but we've all got a story in ourselves. But my passion is children. My passion is the curiosity. My passion is the growth of others. And the Mood Munchers came around. And yes, I took up an illustrator, but I had to come up with the designs. And what I've discovered is I'm quite creative. And I would never have, you'd asked me this 3 years ago, so it's ridiculous. But I am so creative. I'm getting them made into toys now. And I didn't have that outcome or that intention. It's just, and then also people say, well, have you thought about this emotion? And I go, no. Oh, let me create. So I'm listening. I'm also asking parents, what are your challenges for you personally and your emotions that you don't like? Because those are what I'm going to create. Because I've been there as a parent or as an adult human being. And it's actually pushing them out that all emotions are okay. It's as simple as that. Because you said happy, sad, we like it, we don't like it. Actually, all emotions are okay. Mm-hmm. It's as simple as that. No, nothing more. Anger is okay. It's just anger. Mm-hmm. But it's, if you can see it like that and that awareness, could you imagine if we have schools that children, as soon as they can verbalize, they can say, oh yeah, Blaze is coming. He's the anger emotion. He's coming to visit. And they live their school lives acknowledging every single emotion. They would be so trusting in themselves. There would be no need for stories. Mm-hmm. They would be them and their essence to show up in the world. And that is my purpose. I want to make tomorrow's leaders be confident, trusting in themselves, being able to navigate emotions without attachment.
And are you working, because, it's like you're one woman, one teacher. How do you work with colleagues? How do they take to this? Because I think you're right.
In the school, I've gone in for story times. I've done it in assemblies, and I've shared it on inset days with colleagues. So we've got the books in school now that they can use. Now I've got the characters. I use them with children, and it's getting awareness. And I was an ELSA teacher, which means emotional literary support. So I was helping those children that had, freakouts in class, and the teachers didn't know how to handle them. So go see Mrs. Hill. But that doesn't need to happen, because if the teachers, and this is why I think the Mood Munchers, and I'm writing a book at the moment for teachers and one for parents, if the teacher, they're presenting a lesson, child X displays behavior they don't like, rather than go, oh, no, and panicking, just go, okay, I see you, I feel you, I can see you're going through this emotion. Do you need some time? Give that child time and accept that, don't label them, get out of the classroom because you're not behaving. That's where the problems start. Just say, oh, yeah, I felt that. Similarly, who else has felt like that? And take 5 minutes out of the lesson to do that. You will allow the child to self-regulate, normalize. It's just an emotion. It's nothing to do with me. And then carry on. But we so think that it's got to be done in this time. It's got to look like this. And that's why I'm training up teachers to do that, and also being mindful. So I'm going on a course soon to be able to teach mindfulness to children. And mindfulness is just being in the present, being aware of what is now, not living in regret in the past or catastrophizing over the future. Just here, just now.
When as you were speaking about this sort of hypothetical teacher dealing with this, it also struck me that the unintended consequence of that teacher being with child X as he or she is going through a particular situation or an emotion is coming through them is what it does to all the other students as well.
Oh, totally. It's a collective energy that travels.
Well, because all these other students that may or may not, on some level they're aware, of course, that they, have moments where they feel sad or happy. And to have, it's like you were saying earlier, right? When you tell students, well, I'm an adult, I'm sort of a taller version of you. I was thinking, right? Like if all of a sudden we started having like 18 foot people that were kind of walking around, would we think that they were, obviously we might think that they're stronger than us, but would we think that they knew anything? We'd just think, well, they're really tall people. But when you say, well, I'm an adult, I've been around longer, I'm taller than you, but I have feelings like this. This is what I go through, and
I'm still learning, and I don't know all the answers.
And when you share that and you model,
I think that's the modeling.
You're modeling how to process what's coming up.
Totally, and that's what I feel is missing in education. It's actually being vulnerable. Now, I wouldn't even say the word vulnerable 5 years ago. It was bad. But I realized actually to be vulnerable and say, yeah, I'm vulnerable, that is courage. It takes strength. And actually in owning your vulnerability and seeing what it is that triggers and being honest and true about it, that has given me so much calm and peace that I'm not attached to anything anymore. And I'm vulnerable in the classroom. You know, I don't need to know it all. I don't need to show up as number one. I just need to show up as me. And I choose each day what energy I'll bring to the classroom. And we all have that power in the moment. Who do you want to be today? I want to be inspiring. I want to be joy. And I want to be passionate.
Yeah, beautiful. And I think it's a good place to end. I like to end on an up. I don't know what else to say. Like, I want to be inspiring. I want to be joyful. I want to be passionate.
And make a difference in this world, because we are all connected. We've just forgotten that.
Yeah, and I think, you know, there's, you know, this opportunity to be curious, to choose,
discover.
Yeah, to discover that adventure, whatever your adventure is.
We're all born to discover. You've all got your own journey. Just lean in openly, and the world's your oyster.
Thank you, Amanda. I've really enjoyed our conversation today. We've covered a lot of ground and had a lot of fun.
Yeah, thank you, Taylor. It's been a joy talking to you. And yeah, I just think you're amazing. Thank you for showing up and allowing this to happen.
Well, thank you. I will accept that.